Hi, today I want to show you how to make homemade yogurt. Now I've been making my own homemade yogurt for about 5 years and it's quite simple to do. Some people don't eat dairy and I know there's a lot of debate on that. We eat dairy. Clint is a physical therapist and he's seen a lot of people with osteoporosis, especially women, when they don't eat dairy. Um, and you can get calcium in other ways, but the calcium in dairy is absorbed easily by your body. Do your own research, make your own decisions, but we are going to be using regular grocery store milk today to make this recipe. So all you do is get a gallon of milk and a pot to warm it up in. And you can let the milk sit on the counter for a while, even overnight, to bring it up to room temperature or so. This milk has been home from the grocery store for an hour or two, so it's fairly cool still. And you're just going to want to bring it up to 185 degrees, but you don't want to do that too fast and you don't want to scorch the milk. Milk scorches easily, so just put it on the stove and start setting your timer. You cannot set your timer too much. Trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes doing that. So you want to set your timer so you don't get yourself messed up. So just put it on, turn your heat on low. I like to use this kind of a spatula because it's flat, so it gets the whole bottom of the pan, and then it's got the holes in it so that the milk can flow through. And it's going to take 20 to 30 minutes to get it up to that 185. I'm going to set my timer for a couple of minutes. It's just so that you don't forget about your yogurt, because life is hectic and you're going to start making yogurt and you'll be home all by yourself and somebody comes home and needs something, you get a phone call, you get a text, your dogs start barking, somebody breaks something. You always get interruptions, and if you forget your milk and it burns, you kind of have to start all over. So just set a timer because things are going to happen. So you're just going to start letting your milk warm up. I always make yogurt either in the morning or in the evening, because after you get it going and it's ready to just set and culture, you're going to leave it for 8 to 12 hours. So you don't want it to be finishing at 3 in the morning or something. So I do it either in the morning or in the evening. I try to do it when I'm cleaning up or even cooking a meal, just so you're going to be kind of in the kitchen. You don't have to stand and stir it constantly, but you do need to stay in the vicinity so you can hear that timer and you can just check on it and give it a stir every so often. Okay, there's that timer. It's been about 3 minutes. I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to reset it right now. Otherwise, I'll forget. And I'm going to set it for 5 minutes. And I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit and keep going. Now, you need to get a good thermometer for doing this. I wish I had one to recommend. Every time I think I found one that I love, there's an issue. I like this one quite a bit, but you can see that the ink is starting to come off down here on the lower numbers. So I don't love that about it. But one that clips onto your pot is really nice. I've used glass ones. I've used the kind that you can just aim it. But it takes the temperature of the top of the liquid, but not inside. So I haven't found one that I love yet. So just find one that you like and work with it. So I'm still trying to get to that 185, and I'm going to guesstimate I'm probably around 70-ish. It doesn't even have numbers down there. So we're just going to slowly let it warm up. All right, that timer is going off again, which is reminding me to check the milk again. I'm just going to restart it, and I'm going to turn up my temperature a little bit. Now, you don't want to put this up to high all the way because your milk will scorch or burn. And you're just easing it up slowly in temperature The slower you do it, the better your texture of your milk will be. That's one reason that you don't want to rush it. While I'm doing this and cleaning the kitchen or making something else, I like to get my supplies out, and this method is pretty simple. You don't need a lot. You do need whatever you're going to start your yogurt with. So I like Faye brand. I like it because it is just made with milk and 5 strains of bacteria. And if you're going to go through this process, you may as well get as many of the good bacteria as you can. And so this brand has 5 strains. There's other brands that are good also. This just happens to be my favorite, and it's easy to find at a regular grocery store. Now, I put this somewhere that I can't miss it, because more than once I have put my milk in the pot and waited, and in the morning I check and all I have is milk in the pot because I forgot to put the start in. So put it somewhere that you aren't going to forget it. Now, if you make milk on a consistent basis and you remember
You make
yogurt on a consistent basis and you save some out, you can just use your own yogurt for your start in your next batch of yogurt. So it's just perpetual and you never have to buy yogurt at the store. I don't always remember to pull some off and do that. So like I said, you don't have to stir this constantly, just keep an eye on it. So I also got my pot out that I'm going to let this culture in. So you've got 2 options, or you have a few options. So you can use this. This is a Saratoga Jack, and it's a thermal cooker. And I know the family who makes it locally, and it's a great product. You can also use an Instant Pot, and it has a yogurt setting. I actually have something else cooking in the Instant Pot right now, so I'm not going to use it tonight. On the Instant Pot, I can't ever get my milk up to 185 without burning. I've tried all the different settings, and it's either stays down about 170 or it burns the milk. So what I do is I take the pot out of the Instant Pot and I put it on my stove, which is safe to do, and I get it up to the temperature, and then when it's time to culture, I put it back in the Instant Pot. I know it's kind of a little silly, but that's what works. So I've got this out and ready, and that should be it. I just need to have this get up to temperature. All right, there's that timer again. Let me turn it off and reset it. Okay, and the temperature is up to about 165, and I want you to see this. It's getting kind of frothy and bubbly, lots of steam coming off, but it doesn't smell sweet yet. And when it gets to the 185, you can start smelling sweetness from it. And it just makes me think about when they say to drink warm milk to help you fall asleep, which sounds gross to me unless it has lots of chocolate in it. But you can really smell when it gets to that correct temperature. All right, so now I'm going to watch it more closely, and I'm going to stir it more because I don't want it to scorch on the bottom. And those last 20 degrees go kind of quick. Like I'm at 170, passing 170 right now. I did want to say that you can use any kind of milk. You can use skim, 1%, 2%, or whole. I'm using whole. I've tried it with all of them, and there's not a huge difference. I think with the whole you get a little bit creamier consistency. It's personal preference. And I have tried making non-dairy yogurt, and I have not been successful. I tried it with coconut milk and coconut yogurt, and I read about it, and it says that you can do that, and I did not have success with it. So this is just the method that I've been doing for 5 years, and it works great. So my timer is going off again, and I'm going to turn it off. And I just checked, and I'm at 185. So I'm going to keep it here at 185 for a minute or two. Doing that helps it to create stronger bonds with the protein and such, and it just makes a nicer texture for your yogurt. So I'll do that, and then I will set my timer for about 10 minutes, and I'll take this off the heat, put it over on a cooling rack, and I'll let it start cooling off. Okay, so we've been at 185 for 2 minutes, so So I'm going to move the pot over here. And I've got my timer going. I've got my start sitting out so that I don't forget to put it in. Sometimes I get so distracted worrying about getting this down to the right temperature that I forget to put my start in. Not a good mistake to make. So now I'm just gonna let this sit and I'll stir it every so often. If you don't stir it, it will get a skin on it, and you can pull it off, or you can just stir it back in. I usually just stir it back in. You're trying to get your temperature down to 125, and then you'll add your start and you'll be just about done. So the milk is down to 125 and we are ready to go. I'm gonna get this thermometer out of my way, and we're going to add our start. Now you can use half of this or all of this. I'm going to use all of it this time. If you're using yogurt that you've saved to start things, you want to use a fourth of a cup to a half of a cup. This is 5.3 ounces. And you want to stir this up. You don't want globs in here, and it's going to kind of melt. And it's just going to take a couple minutes, so just make sure you get it stirred nicely. And once that's all dissolved, the hard work is done. Now you're going to set it aside and let it culture. There's a few different ways you can do this. For me, I'm going to put it in my Saratoga Jack tonight, which is a thermal cooker. You get things warm and then it holds it at a temperature. And I love them. It doesn't take any electricity, and they're great. You can cook dinner and things, take it with you to the beach or hiking or whatever, and when you come back, dinner's ready. Or you can do it in an Instant Pot, and you just put it on the yogurt setting and it will make sure that it holds it there at that temperature. If you don't have either of those things, you can just use a big pot that's covered with the lid, and you can heat up your oven to 200, turn off the oven, put your pot in, and that will work also. Like if you've got some kind of a Dutch oven type of a pot. So I'm going to put it in my Saratoga Jack thermal cooker now and put the lid on. And with this, where's my lid? I lost it. With this, I'm going to want to let it set for about 10 hours. Truthfully, 8 to 12 hours, and it is fairly forgiving. The longer you let it set, the more sour it can get, more tart. And if you don't like that, then you don't want to let it go as long. But with this method, or in the warm oven, I would plan on 10 hours. And in the Instant Pot, it's 8 hours. And that's it. And in the morning, I'll show you what it looks like. Good morning. So we let our yogurt sit overnight and culture, and I'm going to open it up now. Now I put mine in the Saratoga Jack because my Instant Pot had something else cooking in it, and you can use either one. It doesn't matter. You're just holding it at that temperature of 120, 125 for 8 to 12 hours. I did want to mention that I talked to my friend who makes the Saratoga Jack, and she said get your orders in early. They're only making 400 this year, so order now if you want to get one in 2023. All right, so this is still a little bit warm. I'm going to take the lid off, and you can see that our yogurt is set up. Now there's liquid also, and that is the whey. That's just a byproduct of making yogurt. I'm going to pull this out, set this aside. Okay, now if you want to, you can just scoop this out and eat it. You want to get you can see that it's yogurt. You can, and if you put this in the refrigerator, it's going to get a little bit firmer than it is right now. Or you can strain it, which I like to strain it. I like my yogurt more the consistency of like Greek yogurt. So you can strain it with cheesecloth, and that's what I started off doing, and it kind of turned into a hot mess. There are different qualities of cheesecloth, so if you're going to do that, get a higher quality cheesecloth and it will hold together more. The cheap cheesecloth, you end up just having yogurt stuck in it, and there's a lot of waste. So what I use now is, this is a bag to filter honey, and I got it at the farm supply store. I got a link to a nut milk bag that I think will work better. That's for like if you're making almond milk, cashew milk, whatever, that you can drain it. A jelly strainer bag would work also. I just make sure that I have the seam on the outside, because if it's on the inside, yogurt gets stuck to it, and again, you just waste it. So, and this was for a 5-gallon bucket, so I cut it down. So I'm just going to put that in the colander, and then you can scoop or pour. You just want to get your yogurt in here. I'm going to see if I can pour without making a huge mess with the camera on. Okay, now that liquid that we're draining off is the whey. And what should you do with it? Well, you can drink it if you want to. You can ferment vegetables with it if you want to. Honestly, what I usually do with it is give it to my chickens. They'll drink it, but since I usually have some chicken feed on the counter fermenting, and this needs a little bit more liquid, I'll just actually pour this whey into my fermenting chicken feed, and the chickens will get it that way. So you can see you're going to get quite a bit. And just depending on conditions, some batches it seems like there's more whey than others. And you just really drain it to the consistency that you want it to be. Sometimes I forget about it and let it drain too long. So again, set a timer so that you'll pay attention to it. And once it's drained, you can put it in the refrigerator, just in a big container like this. This is actually 1 gallon, so this will hold it no problem. And then you can just dish it out individually. Or you can put it into small containers that are ready to go. I actually keep mine in a little basket in my refrigerator, and it goes under bottom shelf. And any jar will work. Honestly, I don't think any of my jars were purchased full price. I think mine are all from garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores. You can sweeten it any way you want. So you can use maple syrup. I often use liquid stevia, especially if I'm doing just a small, just one serving at a time. If I'm doing like the whole batch at one time, I'll often use maple syrup, or honey, stevia, whatever you want to do for your sweetener. And I'll often mix it with fruit before I put it into the little jars. Any kind of fruit you want. You can even use jam if you want to. Fresh fruit, frozen fruit. I will tell you, dragon fruit is one that's really popular. I often get asked to bring my yogurt to like potlucks, and when I do it with dragon fruit, it's beautiful, and it tastes really good also. It's a nice subtle flavor. So you're just going to strain this off, and we'll show you in a few minutes what this looks like. All right, so it's been 45 minutes that this has been draining, probably a little bit longer than I would ordinarily do. Quite a bit drained off. This batch happens to be a little bit more liquid than others. Not crazy amount or anything though. So I'm going to show you what this looks like now. And it holds together pretty well. In fact, I'm just gonna, so you can see it, I'll turn it out onto a plate here. And when you stir it, it will get more creamy. And show that. So now you can put it in the refrigerator and let it get cold. and then choose your sweetener, choose what fruit you want to put into it, and how you want to store it. If you want to put it in a big container, if you want to put it in little containers, or what you want to do with it. So, because I'm doing this for YouTube, this ended up being one of my less creamy batches, which happens like maybe once or twice a year. So after stirring it up, it's fine. It's just not as creamy as usual. So I just put it in a bowl, big bowl, and used my immersion blender. And this was like 2 minutes of maybe 1 minute of using the immersion blender, and now it's nice and creamy. And it's ready for you to decide how you want to store it. If you want to put it in a big container or little jars, and if you want to pre-sweeten it or just have a big container and let people pull it out and sweeten it as they go. Okay, so this makes about 15 to 20 servings, and now you are one step closer to being self-sufficient. Okay.